Hey everybody, welcome to G for G here on YouTube. I know this sounds really strange to be saying this is a Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux video, and yet before you do not see Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. You see Iron Maiden Legacy the Beast. And I'll explain that right away. So, I had my first ever Marvel Avengers Alliance related stream. First stream in 4 years, basically. When the game died, I was obviously not streaming it on Twitch anymore. So we had the first one today at 3 o'clock. And I was a little late because I almost slept into the beginning of it. And I was like, uh-oh. And I ran over to the computer. We started the stream. So on the stream, I ran out of energy in the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux beta. And like I said when I announced the streams were coming back, that I would sometimes do games that are similar to Marvel Avengers Alliance so that people have something fun to play with in the meantime, as you know, the beta progresses and we get better combat and everything. So I wandered over to this mode in Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast called the Gauntlet. What the Gauntlet is a number of tiers that start off as F and then they progress up from F to A. When you do a tier, the characters that you use in that particular tier become unavailable for the rest of the tier, and they're locked out. If you lose characters in battle, they're also locked out. And then when you beat the tier, you get the rewards for that tier, and then your characters become available to you again, and you could use them at the next tier. Now, some tiers have conditionals, so this tier that I'm in right now can only use Magus, and you can only use the blue and the reds, Magus and Warrior. So that's essentially like just blasters and bruisers in Marvel Avengers Alliance. And I started thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, couldn't we potentially do a mode like this in Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux? A sort of gauntlet mode where characters get locked out. And then I was discussing it with some people on the stream, mainly Ed, saying, and we were starting to flush out the idea and have it so that it's maybe off of the boss simulator is how you get into it, and then you try to go through it with your roster, and then the characters that you use on a particular tier are locked out. See, all these characters are not available for this combat because they've already been used at some point. So you have to look at the tier and you have to plan strategy. You're like, oh, that looks like that's the worst battle of the tier. I need to bring my heaviest hitters for that battle, or ooh, this is a really weak tier for me. I don't think I'm going to do good. I may just have to bring my strongest heroes to the first battle, and that's all that they're going to be able to pass. Or, uh-oh, I lost the hero. Like, now what am I going to do? Alright, so this one's actually working out pretty well. I brought a lot of weaker tunes into this battle early on, and it... fuck your goddamn revival. Man, my Alexander the Great Eddie is in fairly top shape, and he's still getting waxed on this. So there you go. So this is what it looks like in Iron Maiden Legacy the Beast. It's called the Gauntlet. And I was like, wow, this really would be a fun idea to do in Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. Now, I always think with not just the community in mind, but the coders. And now, again, it's just Magus and Warrior, so basically like Bruisers and Blasters, and everybody's back. I can use all my blue and red characters again. And similar to Marvel Avengers Alliance, green is stronger than blue, which is stronger than red, which is stronger than green, and then purple and yellow directly oppose each other. So that's what it looks like in Legacy of the Beast. So my idea for Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux, and I didn't think it would be the worst code in the world for Goofy, because if we look at the Apocalypse Spec Ops, the game has a lockout function already built into it. So now remember, when you got to Mission 2, you had the team that went for Pursuing Beast and the team that went for Pursue Rogue. Whoever went this way was locked out from the people going this way. And the game dictated certain characters that had to go this way and certain characters that had to go this way, and then you split your roster up. And then after you fought Mission 2, you split again. So one half of Team 1 went this way, one half went that way, one half went this way in Team 2, and etc. Then everybody came back again for Mission 4. So there is a lockout function already in the game. This was my idea. Please ignore the stars in my black backdrop over here. I am not an artist. That's what my girlfriend does. This is sort of my idea. This is the nexus of realities. So my thought would be that Jeff Goldblum's character from Thor Ragnarok, the Grandmaster, would be your narrator for this game mode. So you come into it for the first time. He's like, "Greetings, Agent. Welcome to the nexus of all realities. This is my place for my own amusement and joy. Pick your teams wisely. You will face escalating challenges. Can you beat the nexus of all realities?" So this is to represent an area of the Marvel Universe that is essentially outside of it all. Here is your reality, so this is all your heroes down here come in from this way, and then these are these different realities represented. You can think of it as these would be like other people's teams, like an incursion or whatever. And we'll get to the ideas on that in just a few moments. So your current character and team that you've picked would be down here on this platform. And each one of these portals is essentially a different fight. And it would have several tiers. So this would be your easy tier down here at the blue. This would be your medium tier with the yellows. And this would be your hard tier at the red. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, this sounds a little familiar. Is this kind of like Future Fight Shadowlands or Strike Force's Dark Dimension? Yeah, it's similar. Or Diablo and Rifts, or World of Warcraft Shadowlands Tower of Torghast that'll come out when Shadowlands comes out. The Bruce Lee movie where he goes up the tower and fights different people, and one of them's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Game of Death, I think that one is. It's the one that made his yellow and black jumpsuit popular, and Law uses it in the Tekken games. So anyway, your characters are here, and here are your easy, your mediums, and your hard. When you use people in a particular portal, they become locked out for that tier, and you don't get them back until you complete the tier. So if you bring Iron Fist and Molly and the Agent to this one, that's it. That one, that one, that one. You can't use that same combination again. So maybe here you bring Pesty and Enchantress, and here you bring Thor and Beta Ray Bill, and here you bring Cloak and Dagger and Spitfire, and here you bring Nurkod and Null. And then boom, you clear the tier, you get the characters back, now you're up at the higher tier. Lots of games do this. It's a form of ultimate PvE challenge when you have accomplished major things in the game, like Mayhem mode in Borderlands 3, or True Vault Hunter mode, Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, or the Dark Aeons in Final Fantasy X, or New Game Plus, or a boss rush that might be in certain games. This is essentially a super endgame function of the game. You would only want to come in here once you have developed a robust enough roster, because if you're locking roster characters out, look at this upper tier over here. Now this is just a mock-up. I'm not saying this is what it would be, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 battles here at the upper tier. You can't defeat this tier with a roster of only 7 good characters. It's never going to work. Maybe this tier you could. This would be a pump. This would be a water pump that is drawing you through the game, making you want to build up your characters, making you want to get ISOs, making you want to get agent gear, suits, uniforms, specific ISOs for characters that change the way they function or make them good. Just Pokemon gotta catch them all so that you could beat these tiers. I mean, think of like if you just install Marvel Future Fight today, you're not going through 7-10 Shadowlands floor with a roster of 10 people and basic as like Captain America and Iron Man and Black Widow or something like that. If you were a beginning of the game player like me in Marvel Avengers Alliance, you started in 2012, this would not be a 2012 accomplishment for you. This would be, for everybody, like, this was something for, like, 2015, especially this upper level, and maybe this was, like, 2014 over here, your roster could do it. This would be, like, early 2016, late 2015, would you be able to defeat the Nexus of all realities? So, because this is a pitch idea, the content team sort of knows about this. This is in the idea channel on Discord. This is nothing official. I'm not saying this is in the game. I'm not saying Goofy can even code it. I'm not saying the content team will agree with it. It's a pitch, and I want community feedback because we have a lot that we need to talk about if this becomes a reality. No pun intended. So, here are the major questions on it. 1, is it doable? Only Goofy knows that. 2, can we get the art to have the Grandmaster fly in and do like a Nick Fury, a Phil Coulson, a Professor X? Can he come in and say stuff? You click OK, he goes away, and you start. Like, can we do that? The next big question, what is your reward and does it reset? So, what is your big win to beat the Nexus of Realities? What do you get way up here? What is your reward for beating all of this crap to get there? Is it a suit? Is it a hero? Is it gear? Is it a big mess of control points and shield points so you could recruit characters, or gold? Lock boxes, like 20, 30, 50 lock boxes up there. You know, what draws you to do all this other than saying, I beat it? And then a screenshot of, here's me winning this. I'm not saying this is linear, but if you did it linear and you went hard, and this was your last one, you had a screenshot of all of this X'd out. I won Nexus of Realities, yay me. What is your big trophy win up here? So that's something that needs to be decided. What do you fight for? Secondly, what is your reset, and does the reward reset? So, okay, you've beaten everything. Now what? You Al Bundy, you stick your hand down your pants and you watch TV and you're like, well, I'm done. Okay, that was fun, that was challenging, but what do I do now? Do you have this reset? Like maybe once a week, this resets. So when you get to the point where you can beat the Nexus of Realities, how do you go back and do it again? Maybe once a week on a Sunday, it resets so you can challenge it again. Well, then what does the reward become? Do we have a pool of rewards up here, like maybe rare ISOs? Maybe the first one is the big win, so the first one is a unique reward, and then every time you go through it after that, it's maybe 20 random lockboxes, or a pool of 5 really important but hard to find ISOs, or uniform. Like, what is the repeating reward for doing this? Maybe 50 gold or something. Maybe it's a pool of things, like it could be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things could be the reward after the first one. You want people, hopefully, to want to replay this mode, and then when they beat it, it then becomes an accomplishment to repeating it. As a World of Warcraft guild leader, the first time you down a boss is amazing. It's great, yay, we beat this boss. But you never really consider it beatable until it gets what's on farm. Farm is the term used to when you can easily defeat a boss without it being a particular struggle. And usually it's considered farmable the second or third time that you beat it, especially in a row. So when you're farming Nexus of Realities, what do you get up here? So that's a question. The next question is, does the agent count as an eliminatable character in a tier or not? So if you're going through the easy tier, and let's say I bring the agent here to this one, does that lock my agent out of these future ones? Or does the agent have to go to each and every single one of these fights and you just change your characters and your gear? So that's an option. Me personally, I don't actually think locking out the agent is a good idea, and I'll explain that in a moment. Now, the other thing is, would gear be locked out? That I think would be too tough to code for Goofy. But that's something we could talk about. If you use gear in this mission, is gear available then for the rest of the tier? Like, you bring the cube and the mystic here, does that mean you can't bring the cube and the mystic for the others? That would be extreme difficulty. Really, really extreme difficulty, in my opinion. So maybe that's a little too much. But again, I'm going to give a reason why I don't think that should happen. So this easy tier would just be more about fighting the characters within these portals. And there wouldn't be a restriction. This is more about getting used to the Nexus of Realities, seeing how far your roster will really go. And this is more about the heroes or the characters you fight in here. And another thing to consider, are bosses part of this, or are you just fighting other PvE characters? Maybe it's a combination. Maybe this one over here is like Apocalypse and Iron Fist and Baron Zemo in here. Or are we only doing other characters? Like this one is Red She-Hulk, She-Hulk, and Hulk in here. Maybe this is like a Hulk portal or something. The other thing to consider is, at the higher ones, do we want to have what's called affixes? So World of Warcraft has this mythic system where every week the affixes change. Sometimes it's enemies have more health. Sometimes enemies explode when they die. Sometimes you have to be healed up to full, otherwise you have a ticking dot sapping your hit points until you're healed to full. Would we want to do affixes at some of the harder levels? Like this one is only tech characters. This one is only Spider-Verse characters. This one is only infiltrators. This one is only bruisers and tacticians. This one, despair, is on everybody in the field. So you go into this battle, the enemy team has despair, you have despair, you can't heal, the enemy can't heal. This one is maybe tech attacks do more damage. So you want to stack tech, but the enemy is all tech in this one. Would it be interesting to design affixes to these? And then when you get in the upper tiers, maybe only your team has despair. Or maybe this one, the enemy team has regen on it. Or you have despair and they have regen, and you have to figure out what do you want to do to get past that. Or maybe this one is blasters only, but everybody on the other side of the field is tacticians. Similar to the way the dailies ran in 2015, 2016, all that. So that's why I'm thinking that if the agent is only used once per tier, then you can't have the conditional like this fight up here, the agent is not allowed. So you have to bring a team that has good synergy to beat it. Like this is maybe the Warriors 3 or the Guardians of the Galaxy would be best for this one, because you're not allowed to use the agent. Maybe at this level you can bring the agent, but the agent is stunned for the first round. So that's a weaker affix than this one where you can't even use it. So maybe um, the agent is stunned in this particular fight over here, but everybody else is okay. And then maybe this one at the hard level, your entire team is stunned for the first round. And then you can go. So that's why I'm saying locking out the agent is maybe not a good idea, and locking out gear is not a good idea, because maybe at this middle tier it could be no magic attacks or gear, no tech attacks or gear. Tech attacks do more damage. Tech, everybody applies obsolete tech with their attacks, so you could bring tech stuff and maybe hope that you don't get hit, and you get locked out of the cube or the weather control device over here. So that's why I think that could be played around with the difficulty. Is maybe sometimes you can't bring the agent. Maybe sometimes certain gear or attacks don't work, or maybe here bleed attacks don't cause bleed, so you don't want to bring Spitfire because she'll do damage but she can't cause bleed. So maybe everybody is immune to bleeding on this one. Maybe this one everybody is immune to stun. And maybe here at the lowest level you introduce only one relatively strong affix in one battle. And that's maybe the speed bump to get over on the first tier. Like maybe on this one everybody's immune to stun. So incapacitation stun's not going to work. And that's the only thing at this tier where there is like an affix. And then it starts getting worse. The other thing you have to consider is, like we talked about, what happens when you win? What do you get to do if you want to replay this mode? Maybe like there were simulator points that allow you to go back into the simulator after you run your points out. Maybe you can go back in with some kind of rare, Nexus of Reality coin, so that maybe you only can beat it once, and then you have to use a coin of some type to reset the Nexus of all realities. It's like the Grandmaster coin. Maybe the first time you beat it, the Grandmaster gives you a coin which allows you to do it a second time for free if you want, but then after that you have to get it as a drop in the game or spend 50 gold to buy a Grandmaster coin in the store or something like that. But this reward then would have to change, because if this was let's say a suit, this was a specific agent suit, and you beat it and then you beat it again, what is the point of having the suit up there? So you need to want to have some kind of a different reward every time you beat it. And then each of these battles would have a roulette, and we would stick roulette items in here. Like this low tier, like you would not gain anything really good here, but maybe at the upper tiers you would gain rewards we all know the community's always like air pressure for Invisible Woman, or maybe Molly's candy thing here, or maybe on the roulette for this battle is the cube or the mystic or something. So yeah, what do you guys think? This is not official, it's only been pitched to the team, but I'm putting it out here for the community to come down in the comments. Tell me, do you like the idea or not? Do you agree that this is a good way of pushing people to push their roster to its limits and kind of do a Pokemon gotta catch 'em all thing, and a reason to farm gear and uniforms and ISOs and characters? And what do you think about the things that I have questions on, like should the agent get locked out? Should gear get locked out? My response is no to either one of those. What do you think about the affixes, like this one everybody has despair, or this one everybody has regen, or this one everybody has a shield, or this one everybody starts at half health but there is no despair, you could still heal? Everybody's stunned, or that your team is stunned on this one. What do you think would be some good things to ramp up the difficulty as you go up in portals? And if you want to crap on me for my universe backdrop over here, you are certainly welcome to do so. And do you think that Jeff Goldblum's character, the Grandmaster character, is the best thing to introduce this mode to you? Because if you remember, his planet sat below all those portals that dump stuff on it, and then the big portal was the Devil's Anus, the one that was like permanently open. So what do you think about the game mode? Do you think Nexus of all realities, or Nexus of reality, or realities, like what's a better name for it? Just, let me know down in the comments below. Let's hash this out and talk about it. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.